Back in the late 1970s, I really liked my Minoltas. I had an XG2, and when I was thinking of trading it in for another camera, I went into the camera dealers, and after a long discussion with the guy in the shop, I actually came out with a second one. So I had two XG2s. I always wanted an XT7, but I couldn't afford it. Minolta, though, kind of began to lose their way, in my opinion, when they started producing autofocus cameras. This is the Dynax 300 SI, a 35mm SLR camera which was released in 1995. It's very simple to use, almost point and shoot SLR, and I think this typifies for me why they lost their way a bit. Before I do a little walk around, let's just look at the specifications. So this is a 35mm single lens reflex camera. Will take films from ISO 25 to 5000, and it has a through the lens 8-segment silicon photocell metering system. It metering range from 1 to 20 EV, assuming a 50mm f1.4 lens. The focusing is a TTL phase detection autofocus system with AF illuminator. The programs are landscape, sports, macro, portrait and night portraits. The flash guide number is 12, although whatever that means, your guess is as good as mine. It's got a focal plane shuttered with speeds from 30 seconds to 1/2000th of a second, and on continuous shooting it will shoot at 1 frame per second. It's got automatic film advance and film rewind, and it's a pentamirror viewfinder, and it takes one CR5 6-volt lithium battery. Body weight is around 380 grams. The 380 grams makes it fairly lightweight, but you feel like you've got a camera in your hands. You can see it doesn't have a pop-up flash. The flash is already popped up, if you like. That means that red eye is an issue, but fortunately this camera has a red eye reduction button here, which is now on. So if I fire the shutter, it takes a while for the flash gun to wind up, but let's try again. Oh, there you go, camera's come to life. Now, it's not taking any pictures, and that's because I'm kind of pointing it at the ceiling, and this phase detection autofocus will simply not focus on something that doesn't have any contrast in. So let's try pointing it at my bookcase. Right, and there you see the red eye reduction kicking in. Let's try it again. You'll see it fires a few short bursts and then the main light. The short bursts serve the purpose of shutting down the size of the retina in the model's eyes, and therefore not having too much reflection of the red blood cells at the back of the eye. Crude, but kind of effective. Right, so we've already seen one of the problems of this camera. Let's have a look at the modes. Right, so at the moment it's on program, fair enough, do everything. So here it's a portrait mode, so limited depth of field. Here we have landscape mode, so lots of depth of field. Here we have macro, so for for close-up shots, and here we have some geezer running very fast. And long exposure modes for night. On this particular one you can see that I'm having to press the mode button a couple of times. The flash is kind of constantly on unless you turn it off. That's really annoying. Let's take the red eye reduction off. Well, that's it. You know, that's really fundamentally it. The other side of the camera, I've got a single shot, self timer, multiple shots. As I said, it's 1 frame per second. Lock is turn the camera off. If I look at the front of the camera, I have a button here to change between autofocus and manual focusing, and here I have the lens release. The lens mount on these is quite wide because it's also made of plastic, which is a bit, well, it's a bit rubbish really. If I open up, you can see the vertically running focal plane shutter, and you can see the points for the DX coding in there. So the film goes in this side, it goes across here, and basically as soon as it's over to the red mark you close the door up, and then jobs are good. And you may be able to make out the contacts here. There is an alternative back for the camera which has automatic date implanting into the film, which again, in my opinion, is a bit rubbish, but some people like it. This is the standard lens, which is a 35-70, so 2 times zoom lens. As I say, I don't particularly like this. So maybe I'm being a bit unfair. This is kind of the baby of the system. I know Minolta have done better, much better cameras than this. But this 100 SI series I do find fundamentally quite disappointing. Still, if that's your thing and you like Minolta, as I used to like Minolta, this is the Minolta Dynax 300 SI.